What's up everybody, welcome back to the channel. If you're struggling with the Nue Malefact and Male Purifier Shidou, you have come to the right place. This is the first real dual boss fight in Beast of Reincarnation, and it can definitely feel overwhelming the first time you have to face these two together. You've got a massive Malefact on one side and a powerful Purifier on the other, and you're expected to deal with both of them at the same time. But there's actually a very important mechanic here that makes this fight much easier, and that is that they don't usually attack you simultaneously. The game will automatically switch your lock-on target to whichever enemy is currently attacking you, allowing you to focus on that enemy while the other generally stays out of the fight. In this guide, we'll go through the recommended preparation, both enemies' complete movesets, the attacks that you should parry or dodge, how to manage the two enemies, and one particular mechanic involving Shidou absorbing health from the Nue Malefact. If this guide helps you out, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Beast of Reincarnation boss guides. Let's get started. Okay, so before starting the fight, there's one major weakness you want to take advantage of. Both enemies are weak to poison. This makes poison one of the best tools that you can bring to this encounter. For Emma, I recommend equipping the Hunter Sword and upgrading your poison arrows and poison bolts as much as possible. The Hunter Sword gives you another way to take advantage of their poison weakness, while your ranged poison ammunition allows you to apply pressure without having to stand directly next to either boss. For Ku, you want to make sure that you're using the Dokuzeri Fang whenever it's available. This is an attack that inflicts poison as well. You should also equip Ku with one of the charms that causes his normal attacks to deal poison damage, and this gives Ku another way to continuously apply poison while you're focusing on the boss. Also, you don't want to ignore the elemental damage that these enemies can deal either. The Nue Malefact and the Male Purifier can both use flame and shock attacks, so any equipment that increases your resistance to either of these elements can be useful. Alternatively, use a mod on Ku that can cleanse status effects. You don't necessarily need to stack every single defensive option, but if you're having trouble staying alive, flame and shock resistance are definitely worth considering. Okay, now let's start with Shidou as far as movesets, because in my opinion, he's the easier of the two enemies. In these encounters, Shidou will typically start the fight by rushing towards you and immediately putting pressure on you. He has 4 main attacks that you need to learn. The first attack is the 2-hit combo. Shidou performs 2 relatively quick attacks, and this combo is fast, but it is also pretty forgiving. Once you recognize the animation, you should have a good opportunity to parry both attacks. Don't be afraid of this one. The biggest challenge is sometimes recognizing exactly when Shidou is about to initiate the attack, but once the combo starts, however, the timing is fairly manageable. Successfully parrying these attacks also gives you opportunity to build your resources and maintain pressure. The second attack is the 4-hit combo, and this is the attack you really need to respect. This is Shidou's most dangerous standard attack, and if you fail to properly defend against it, it can take a huge chunk of your health. The key here is learning the rhythm. Don't panic after the first hit, don't dodge away after the second hit, and don't assume that the attack is finished after the third. Stay focused on the entire sequence and continue parrying through all 4 attacks. If you're struggling with this attack, spend some time learning its timing rather than simply trying to outrun it. Once you get comfortable with the 4-hit sequence, Shidou becomes considerably easier to handle. Next, we have the Vine Arm attack. Shidou will reach out with his left arm and swing twice. The interesting thing about this attack is that there can be a slight delay before the first attack actually comes out. That can make the initial timing somewhat awkward. However, once the first attack happens, the second one comes really quick, so don't immediately relax after parrying the first swing, be ready for the follow-up. The timing can actually make this a very good opportunity to land a bunch of parries in succession. And Shidou's final major attack is the Slam. This one is thankfully easy to recognize. Shidou will propel himself into the air and come crashing down. This attack cannot be parried, so don't waste time trying. Instead, dodge. The dodge window is fairly generous, and once Shidou lands, there's a good opportunity to punish him while he's recovering. This is one of the safest openings you'll get against him, so when you see Shidou jump into the air, prepare to dodge and immediately look for a counterattack. Now let's talk about the Nue Malefact. This is where the fight can become considerably more dangerous. The Nue has 3 primary attacks that you need to recognize. The first is the tail swing. This is one of the Nue Malefact's most frequently used attacks. It will swing its tail at you twice in succession. The good news is that this is actually one of the easiest attacks in the fight to parry. Once you learn the timing of the first swing, be prepared for the second immediately afterwards. Don't assume that parrying the first attack means you're safe. The second tail swing comes quickly, and there's another important detail here. Sometimes after finishing the tail swings, the Nue can transition almost immediately into another attack or combo, so don't lower your guard just because you've successfully parried the first sequence. Stay ready. Now for the second attack, we're going to the Nue's most dangerous attack, and this is the 6-hit combo. This is the attack that you absolutely need to learn. The Nue begins by swinging twice, then there's a brief pause, and after that it continues with additional attacks at roughly the same speed as the first 2, eventually finishing with a body slam. That pause is designed to mess with your timing. You're gonna see the first 2 attacks, then the Nue pauses, and it's very easy to assume that the sequence is over, but it's not. Wait for the next attacks. The final body slam is also deceptive. It can look like the Nue is falling slowly, making you think that you have plenty of time, but don't hold your parry too long because the final slam comes a lot faster than it looks. The best strategy is to parry early during the falling animation rather than waiting until the very last moment. These attacks may take some practice, but once you have learned the rhythm, it becomes one of your biggest opportunities to deal with the Nue because you're getting a ton of FP if you're able to parry all of the attacks. The final attack is the leaping attack. The Nue will leap towards you if you're at a distance. This attack cannot be parried, so once again, don't waste time trying. Simply dodge. The timing is relatively forgiving, and once the Nue lands, you can take advantage of the recovery window. If you see the Nue preparing to leap toward you, get ready to dodge and immediately look for an opening. Now let's put everything together. The biggest mistake that you can make in this fight is trying to fight both enemies at once. Don't do that. Use the lock-on system, and when Shidou attacks, deal with Shidou. When the Nue attacks, deal with the Nue. This makes the fight a lot more controlled. Think of the encounter as 2 separate fights that happen to share an arena. You are essentially waiting for the game to tell you which enemy is currently your problem, then focus entirely on that enemy. Use your poison attacks whenever you have an opportunity. Ku's Dokuzeri Fang is particularly useful here, and his poison enhancing charm helps keep the status effect working in the background. Your poison arrows and bolts are also excellent when you need to attack from a distance, and don't forget about Ku's binding abilities. Whenever you can successfully bind one of the enemies, use that opportunity to create a safe opening. This can be especially useful after you finish parrying one of their combos. Now, there is one situation where you should temporarily break from the basic strategy. If the Nue Malefact is standing off to the side and starts calling down lightning, don't just ignore it. This is one of those situations where the inactive enemy can still create a problem for you. Pay attention to the attack and be ready to reposition or interrupt it if possible. You don't want to spend your entire attention fighting Shidou while the Nue is creating an additional hazard in the arena. Now, we get to one of the more important tricks in this fight. There will be moments when Shidou attempts to absorb health from the Nue Malefact, and when you see this happening, you definitely want to interrupt. Attack Shidou and interrupt the absorption. There's an interesting mechanic here because Shidou actually takes more health from the Nue than he gains himself. So if you allow the absorption to continue, you're effectively giving Shidou the opportunity to drain the Nue while also benefiting himself. Interrupting the process stops that. More importantly, the interruption will stun the Nue Malefact for a short period, which gives you a really good opportunity to deal a significant amount of damage to the Nue while it is vulnerable. And that is pretty much everything you need to know on how to defeat the Nue Malefact and Male Purifier Shidou. Remember, poison is your best friend, parry the multi-hit combos, dodge the attacks that can be parried, use Ku's poison abilities, and always interrupt Shidou when he tries to absorb the Nue's health. Once you learn the rhythm of each enemy and stop trying to fight both at the same time, this dual encounter becomes much more manageable. If this guide helped you defeat these bosses, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more Beast of Reincarnation boss guides, trophy guides, and collectible guides. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.